All right, then with that, we'll begin. So I want to welcome everyone to meditation tonight, and welcome to everyone on Facebook also. Okay, so I'm Sujantra, and welcome to meditation with the Pilgrimage of the Heart live stream. And recently, I've been working on a series of meditations, which this is part of it, where I've been exploring some different teachers and their meditation techniques. And so tonight is complete in and of itself, but it is also part 2 of exploring the meditation techniques of Sri Aurobindo. There's the book I'm reading from. It's called The Essential Aurobindo. And I started the series with Sri Chinmoy, who I studied with for 27 years. And then I decided for the second teacher that we would explore would be Sri Aurobindo. And that is who Sri Chinmoy studied with. So Sri Chinmoy went to live at the Sri Aurobindo ashram in southern India, in a beautiful seaside town called Pondicherry. So seaside town on the Bay of Bengal in India. And in part 1, I talked a little bit about how Sri Chinmoy, how Sri Aurobindo ended up in Pondicherry, which is a very interesting story. And I thought tonight I'd pick up with the Sri Aurobindo ashram. So originally, Sri Aurobindo moved to Pondicherry to get away from the British authorities, because at that time, India was a British colony, but there were also sections that were French. And so he went to a French colony, which was Pondicherry. And there he lived in a house and practiced meditation, lived with about 7 or 8 other people. And slowly around him began to grow an ashram. As he wrote more, his writings went throughout India, and he took a very, let's say, scientific approach to meditation. Not in a dry sense, but scientific in the sense that it wasn't steeped in Hinduism or Christianity or any particular religion, but rather his approach to spirituality and meditation was really rooted in the human condition, and specifically in the evolution of consciousness. There's a beautiful saying that I like that comes out a lot in existentialism, which is basically the idea of our unique moment in history. So if you look at your life, you're existing in a specific moment of time in history. And we become very immersed, obviously, in our moment. And we think this is the biggest, most significant moment, and here I am and all the things I'm going through, which on one hand is true. But then if you look at the span of humankind, 250,000 years, or you look at the evolution of the earth, millions and millions of years, you start to realize what a tiny little moment you are in this vast cosmos of time. And the passages that I'm going to read to help us move into our meditation talk about that. Sri Aurobindo's view of the entire evolution of humankind. And again, we think in like little small moments, our little 70 or 90 or 100 years on earth. Or some people only have, 3 days on earth, or a couple of years, or just a moment. And so that's our unique moment in time, and yet this vast evolution that we're a part of. And we often think of evolution in terms of Darwin and evolution of the physical body, but what Sri Aurobindo focused in on was the evolution of consciousness. the evolution of consciousness from mineral to plant to animal to human consciousness. And what I really like about Sri Aurobindo's writings is that he doesn't see evolution just as a one-way journey. So in other words, it's not just that we're evolving, but it's also that consciousness is descending into us. So it's not that for our evolution or our personal growth that we're just going into a void and trying to figure out what is love or how can I be kinder, or that we have to mentally figure out the next steps in our journey. But he brings in the idea that we're evolving into something, but that something is also moving towards us, which is reminiscent of Plato's ideas of pure form, that our ideas are just reflections of a realm of perfection. And so this idea that we're evolving, but also consciousness is involving into us. And what this does is it brings in the meditation technique basically of surrender. So a lot of times in our meditations, we're focusing on, okay, I want to be peaceful, I want to be happy, this is what I want, this is what I want to experience, which is great. The other side of the coin is to just be and surrender to the energy that is creating us and sustaining us and evolving this whole universe. And so tonight's meditation will draw from the writings, and it'll be two elements of the meditation. One is our conscious effort, our aspiration into our highest potential, but also the meditation of surrender, of letting go and letting nature come into us, letting that higher realm come into us. So I'm going to begin with a couple readings that will help explore this. And Sri Aurobindo at his ashram, there were men, there were women, people were treated equally, but he did write in the masculine sense. But this, the terms he uses man all the time, but he was not limiting this to man versus woman. Okay, so he writes, man is a transitional being. He is not final. For in man and high beyond him ascend the radiant degrees that climb to a divine super manhood. There lies our destiny and the liberating key to our aspiring but troubled and limited mundane existence. So I'm sure we have all had the feeling of the troubles of life, the travails, the challenges, our limitations, and just that mundane aspect of reality. And so what he's pointing to is that we are beings in transition, that we're not final, we're evolving, and we're moving into these, as he says, radiant degrees, this radiance that we're becoming part of. Now he goes on to define what he means by a person. We mean by man, mind imprisoned in a living body. But mind is not the highest possible power of consciousness. For our ordinary human mind is not in possession of the ultimate truth. The next step for human evolution is to grow into this super consciousness. It is inevitable because it is at once the intention of the inner spirit and the logic of nature's process. So our evolution, our consciousness, our expansion is inevitable. We are part of this great flow of energy. This next passage, and after this passage we'll move into our meditation. The next passage is a little bit of where we find ourselves. So he writes, "The ordinary man lives in his own personal consciousness, knowing things through his mind and senses as they are touched by a world which is outside him." And so that's how we experience life most often. We all live in the same city or the same country, the same physical world, and yet we all perceive the world through our own minds, our own thoughts. That's what creates our reality. So he writes, "When our consciousness subtilizes," Sri Aurobindo uses a lot of great words, subtilizes. So as our consciousness becomes more subtle, more aware, which is what we do through meditation, it begins to come into contact in things in a much more direct way. Not only with their outer forms, but with what is inside them. And so that we experience, for example, in friendships. When we first meet someone, we just see a physical body. But as we get to know them, we start to discover that there's a consciousness inside that physical being. And so we become more subtle, more conscious of that person. Furthermore, our consciousness can widen even more and begin to be in direct contact with a universe of range of things in the world. And then we can begin to see the world inside oneself, to see all things in the self and the self in all things, to be aware of one being everywhere. That is universalization. Universalization. And so this is the evolution that we're gearing for, is to be able to be conscious of our individual self, and yet through the meditation becoming more conscious of our subtle dimensions, to begin to feel our interconnectedness with all things. This is our evolutionary potential. And again, Sri Aurobindo's idea that this isn't something we have to force or create or mentally formulate. Rather, this is a process that we're part of. And so surrendering, releasing, letting go into that and letting that take shape. Just like you see a child, nature comes in and grows the child and the mind matures. And the parents just kind of steer the process, but the parents aren't doing it. Nature is doing it. And so it's the same thing with our consciousness, our evolution. We don't have to formulate it. We can guide it, we nurture it, but it's going to happen to us. We're part of this great evolution of consciousness. All right, so with that, we'll go into our meditation. And once we get into the meditative state, I'll verbally cue you on some of these ideas so you can explore them in your own meditation. So let's begin just by releasing from our body any holding. Again, the idea from Sri Aurobindo that we are minds inside a physical body. We're not limited to the physical body. So aches and pains, tensions, frustrations hold us inside our body. So to release from that is the first step. We'll begin with a few shoulder rolls. As you breathe in, shoulders come forward and up. Exhale, back and down. Inhale, forward, up. Exhale, back and down. Inhale, forward, up. Exhale, back and down. And now a twist, focusing in on your spine as you breathe in, lift and lengthen your spine. As you exhale, twisting to the right. We'll do this for a few breaths. Twist first from your low spine, mid-spine behind your heart, head and neck. Bringing awareness, consciousness into your spine. On your next inhale, come back to center. And then moving to the left. Again, first low spine twists, mid-spine, head and neck. Good, back to center. We'll do one more physical exercise and have your palms face up on your lap. And I'm just going to illustrate into the screen here. What we're going to do is we're going to link our mouth, our eyes, our lungs, and our hands. So on an inhale, fingers open wide, mouth opens, eyes open. Exhale, lungs close, just like the hands into a fist. Mouth closes, eyes close, scrunch your face. That's your exhale. Inhale, everything expands, lungs, hands. Exhale. Deepest, fullest breaths of the day. One more. Follow your own pace. Squeeze it all out. And just relax into your next inhale. Hands can just relax. Jaw relaxes. Eyelids gently close. Eyeballs motionless, gazing into the back of your eyelids. And begin to breathe slowly. Right now, we want to focus in on sensation. Really feeling, getting in tune with your body and your senses. Thoughts, let them come and go. Just try and really focus in on sensation. And let's start with the sensation of our body. So as you breathe in, become aware of the muscles in your forehead and around your eyes. As you exhale, let those muscles release and relax. Next, inhale, become aware of the muscles in the back of your neck and shoulders. Exhale, releasing, relaxing. Inhalation, become aware of your lungs, your heart, the feeling of your heartbeat. Exhale, releasing, letting go. Try and let go very deeply. We hold a lot of emotion in our heart, in our chest. Try and release. Now bring awareness to your belly. On your inhale, allow your belly to move out. As your lungs expand, it pushes down on your internal organs, hence the belly moves out. And the exhale, draw the belly button in towards your spine. Sri Aurobindo talks about subtilizing our awareness, becoming aware of the subtle. And so now we'll focus on a part of our body we're probably not that conscious of, which is your pelvic floor, the base of your torso. There's a gentle movement there as you breathe, and we want to mirror our belly. So as you breathe in, belly expands and the pelvic floor relaxes, so it goes down slightly. And as you exhale, you draw your belly in and the pelvic floor up a little bit. So inhale, release, create space. Exhale, lift the pelvic floor, belly comes in. Trying to feel the entire pelvic floor, not just one point of it. Good, awareness back up into your chest. Try to feel your heartbeat. It's the oldest sensation that we know. Our heart was beating before we were breathing air. Try to connect with your heartbeat, your essence. Sri Aurobindo says that we are minds inside a living body. So let's explore how our mind experiences the world. And this is done through our senses. So let's begin with our sense of sound. Become aware of any sounds around you or the quietude. Also, sound is linked to echolocation. So through sound, you get a feeling of the volume of the space that you're in. Just focus in on the sensation of listening. Again, thoughts come and go. Stay rooted in sensation. Now just repeat to yourself, I am hearing the sounds around me. And try to feel you, feel yourself that is doing the hearing. I am hearing the sounds around me. Now we'll shift to our sense of sight. If you have a candle or anything that you're gazing at, you can keep your eyes open. Otherwise, with your eyelids closed, actively gaze into the back of your eyelids. You might have to squeeze your eyelids tight a few times, but then you'll be able to start to see colors, shapes, shifting patterns. Just enjoy that light show in the back of your eyelids. Same place that your dreams appear at night. And then the same mantra. I am seeing colors and shapes, focusing on sense of self that is doing the seeing. This is your life, your existence. Be conscious of yourself. Now we'll shift once more, this time to our sense of touch. Sense of touch is connected to our skin. So just moving your mind through your skin, become aware of the outer shape of your body. Start at your feet and try and be aware of your feet and move all the way up over the course of 5 or 6 breaths, all the way up through your legs, pelvis, torso, all the way up to the top of your head. Feel the outline of your body in space. Now the mantra, inner repetition of I feel or I am conscious of this body. Again, focusing in on you that is observing this body. Now bring awareness back to watching how your body breathes, not controlling your body, but just watch how your body breathes. From our sense of self and from sensation, by using imagination, we then begin to create our sense of the world. And so for this meditation, what you're now going to do is use your imagination, just visualizing the world around you in whatever way you want. But what you're going to try to feel and visualize is the evolution that's occurring, the life force, nature, that is the brilliance behind how your 70 trillion cells that make up your body, how they all come together, how your organs work, how nature, the earth. So just try and feel this great energy, this evolutionary energy that you're a part of. You You can visualize it, try to feel it, hear it, smell it. Use your imagination. Become aware of this great energy of evolution that you're part of. And now, amidst this vast creation, try to bring in the sense of the expanse of time, the vastness of time. So not just space, but time also. Eons and epochs of time and evolution. And now be very conscious of this moment, your moment. So the mantra could be, this is my moment in this vastness of time. This is my moment of evolution. And as you feel this idea that you're a transitional being. You're not finished. You are evolving through radiant degrees of light. Feeling the tininess of your moment will give you humility, but feeling the vastness of the evolution you're a part of will give you a feeling of tremendous significance. So combining those two feelings, humility and a vast significance that you're part of. Now we'll shift to one more meditation. For this transition here, just bring awareness back to feeling how the intelligence of your body breathes itself. You don't have to control it. Just watch your body breathe and enjoy the miracle of being alive. And now visualize a beautiful rainforest with all the sunlight pouring in, all the rain pouring into the forest, the earth below, and how these forces create the growth of the plants. The plants don't have to think about it. The forces cause the forest to grow. So visualize that, be aware of it. And now visualize yourself, your life, as a beautiful plant, or visualize yourself as a being of light. And feel this great universal energy that sustains the universe, that's here for all time. Feel that pouring into you, pouring down into you, or coming up from within you, and how that great intelligence will evolve you. So surrender, fall back into that, trust in that energy. Letting go, surrendering, trusting. Evolving. For the last 2 or 3 minutes, either continue with this technique or go back to any of the earlier ones, or let them combine within you. Just really focus in on enjoying your consciousness, the subtlety of it, for the next 2 minutes. With these Sri Aurobindo meditation techniques, we're really moving into a subtlety of our mind. If we were doing it as a form of chakra meditation, this would be a lot of crown center and third eye meditations. So we're going to be sure to reorientate ourselves So first become aware of the sensations around you, the sounds. Let your eyes open a little bit, let in some light. Feel this body. So rooting yourself, grounding yourself. And as we emerge from this meditation, for me, I try and stay rooted in this idea of the evolution that I'm a part of. So a couple of the ideas I really take away from these type of meditations is that we're transitional beings. We're part of evolution, just like we watch plants growing all around us or nature. So too, we're evolving, we're growing. Also the idea of this unique moment, our historical moment, as they say in existentialism. In the vast epics of time, this is your moment of existence. If you believe in reincarnation, then maybe there's many moments of existence, but this is certainly a unique one because you're unique. And finally, the idea of surrendering, letting go. We don't have to force everything. We don't have to figure out the world. Rather, we just need to let go into some of these big principles of love, of compassion, of forgiveness. All right, everyone. So tonight's meditation was very subtle, a lot of subtle visualizations. So really proud of everyone for sticking with it. And again, the repeated practice of these meditations, and these meditations go up on our YouTube channel. So Pilgrimage Yoga is our YouTube channel. And if you go to the videos drop down, that's where all the meditations are, and they usually go up once a week. So again, this was the meditation techniques of Sri Aurobindo, and this was part 2, and then part 1 will be up there also. So it's very nice meditating with everyone. We're all evolving together and accelerating our evolution through the meditation. Light within me bows to and respects the light in each of you. Namaste.